Hey everyone, welcome to our new webinar, Creating and Running Live Events with Microsoft Teams. This is part of a series of webinars we're currently running on Microsoft Teams. In case you missed it, it's on our YouTube channel, but a couple of weeks ago we did one on getting the best out of Microsoft Teams. That was an hour long, that one, but it looked at some best practice, where to do what, and as the title says, how to get the most out of Teams. If you have any ideas for any webinars, if there's anything in Teams that you want to talk to us about, my contact details are on the end of this, will be given to you at the end of this, or you can get to us on LinkedIn or Twitter or all the usual places. Okay, so what are we doing today? First of all, we're going to look at a little bit about us. This is we're Pi Digital Solutions. I forgot to introduce myself, so sorry everybody. My name is Simon Carter, and I'll talk a bit about Pi Digital Solutions in just a few minutes. Then we're going to get into the meat of it. First part of which is what live events actually are. They're quite a new feature from Microsoft Teams, and a lot of people are just getting to grips about what they're all about and what's involved, but also how they differ from Microsoft Teams meetings and chat and calls and video calls, etc. So we'll jump into that just a little bit. But then we're going to get to the reason why I guess most of you are here. We're going to look at how to actually get started, how to create an event, what all of the different settings mean. Some of the settings you can change on a per event basis. Some of the settings are set at a global level. So we'll talk about what some of those are. Also look at the different roles you can take. There are essentially three. You can be a producer, you can be a presenter, or you can be a participant. Then we're going to jump into actually running the event. So you've created the event, everything's all set up, you've got your presentations, you've got your speakers, you've got videos, etc. you want to show, you've got everything all set up. How do you actually go about doing that? That's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to look at. And then when it's all finished, hopefully it's all been a success. But one of the things you can look at as well is an engagement report. So I have a sample report that I can show you. It's quite basic data that you get from it, but with what I'll be talking you through as well is how you could analyze this deeper. So that's what we're going to do today. First of all, a bit about Pi Digital. Some of you will have worked with us before. Some of you are probably new to Pi Digital, maybe heard of us through LinkedIn or about this event. We are a digital agency. We work on digital transformations, mostly in the Microsoft stack. As you can see, we're talking about Microsoft Teams today. Office 365, SharePoint. We have huge experience in the Power Platform as well. So that's Power Apps, Power Automate or Flow, as it used to be called. Power BI for analytics, as well as, of course, Teams, Dynamics 365, and everything Microsoft, basically. We've worked for lots of organizations, big and small. What we like to do is tailor it for everybody. We call ourselves a boutique agency, which means it doesn't mean small necessarily. It means that we tailor everything for our clients. So if you have anything that you'd like us to talk to us about, give us a call, send us an email, and we can start a conversation about that. These are some of the different things we do and have done for different organizations over the years. A couple that I'll call out here that are particularly relevant for today. We have done many Teams setup and rollouts. This is particularly pertinent in a minute, obviously, because so many people have been chucked straight into Teams. But you'd be surprised how many organizations just chuck Teams out anyway, even during normal circumstances. Install it on people's machines and say, there you go, get up and running with it. And that isn't the wisest way of doing it, as you would expect. And you may be working for an organization who has done that as well. So we do help people with employee adoption, engagement, training, best practice, all of that sort of thing. One of the things we started doing recently, and this is relevant to today as well, is working with chatbots. Part of the Microsoft Power Platform now is something called Power Virtual Agents, which are chatbots that you can quickly create. You could have one up and running in a couple of hours if you wanted to, but they can be embedded anywhere. You can embed them on your intranets, you can embed them within Teams, you can put them on Facebook Messenger or on your websites as well. So extremely powerful tools, and all parts of the subscription you likely already have. Something else which is relevant for today is cross-channel engagement analytics. Not something we're going to look at too deeply today, but one of the things that we get asked quite often in fact, it's a question that pretty much every organization asks us when working with them, is how you can bring together all of your different analytics platforms to understand how you're engaging with your employees. So for instance, we're going to look at a report you get for a live event, which will tell you who joined, when they left. That's everything that you've got. You'll also get a Q&A report of questions that people ask during your events if you've got that turned on. But that's it. When you get the video afterwards, you might put it on YouTube, you might put it into stream, you might embed it on your website. People are going to consume it in different ways. They might even see it on Yammer as well. How do you bring all that together to understand just how well you engaged with your staff or whoever it is you're trying to communicate with? So cross-channel analytics is very important and can be complicated, but once it's all set up, you can get insights within a few seconds. So this is something we're really passionate about at Pi Digital. Data seems an odd thing to be passionate about, but you'd be surprised. Once we get talking to you about it, you'll be passionate about it too. Okay, before we move on to the demonstration, first thing I want to talk to you about is what exactly are live events? Well, it seems like a bit of a silly question, I suppose, because you're on a live event now, you're participating in one. But essentially what a live event is pretty much a broadcast version of Teams meetings. With Teams meetings, a bit like a Zoom meeting, I suppose, you invite people to it. People can join from inside and outside your organization, and you can all talk. People can have the videos on or the audio on, or both, obviously. You've got text chat, you can share files, all that sort of thing. That's a meeting. That's a Teams meeting. You can have up to 250 people in a meeting, which is good. But straight away, you can see one of the use cases that Microsoft tried to address with live events. The first one is the number of participants. You can have up to 10,000 people on a live event. They can be invite only. It could be everybody in your organization. It could be anybody in the world. Now, I'm not sure we've got 10,000 people on today, but it's nice to know we've got the capacity. Second thing is, as you can probably tell from this, it's pretty much a broadcast situation. So why would you want that? Well, lots of communications these days is democratized. We use things like Yammer, Twitter, forums, comments in intranet posts, etc., to have a two-way engagement with our staff. We say something, they say something back. Excellent. But there are lots of times when you will want more of a one-way communication, and this isn't strictly one way. People can ask questions, but it is, excuse me, it is the perfect medium for crisis communications, large-scale communications, town halls, speeches by CEOs, all of that sort of thing. What it does is it addresses frustrations that people have with comms sometimes internally. They don't know where to go, they don't know what they're going to get, they haven't got the right medium. With live events, what you can do is set up a short 15-minute, 20-minute event to address all of the colleagues at once. A little bit like Boris Johnson sat in front of the camera, I suppose, but not exactly like Boris Johnson, I shouldn't think. What it allows you to do as well is to have a group of people working on it together. So for instance, if I was the CEO of Pi Digital, I'm not, but let's just pretend I am, I would be the person speaking. What I could also have though is a colleague from comms, perhaps more likely, who could actually run the nuts and bolts of it. So I could be speaking, somebody else could be controlling the screen. Somebody else even further could be monitoring the Q&A, sometimes answering them directly within the chat, sometimes bringing them to the attention of the speakers so they can answer them as well. So it isn't a total one-way communication. It is, in a sense, that only one person can really speak, but as you've seen, the audience do get a bit of feedback as well. So what we'll do now, I'm going to have to change my screen so we can have a look at how to set up a live event. So just give me a second. Okay. Excuse me, I've got a cough, nothing to worry about. Here we are in our Microsoft Teams calendar. You can see actually there it is. This is the event we're running now. It's worth noting you can't set these up yet from Microsoft Outlook, but I'm sure that's on the card soon. But at the moment, what you need to do is come into the calendar and go up to this section up here in the top right hand corner. The two buttons that you can see from the off are concerning meetings. You can have an instant meeting straight away, or you can schedule a meeting. Those two things are Microsoft Teams meetings. On the drop-down menu, however, if live events are already at your organization, I think it's in full general availability now, so you should have it. On the drop-down menu, you can see you've got live event. In the settings of a live event, first thing you need is a title. So let's just say we're going to have the location. The location seems like a bit of a misnomer because everybody's joining us digitally. However, the location is for events where people could attend physically or could attend via link. At the minute, of course, everybody's going to be attending virtually, but in the future, the location is something you may use. It may also be that for all of the producers and presenters, you all want to be in the same room. So that's what the location could be used for then, either way. Here you've got the start time and the end time. That's pretty standard, and details about the event. So you could have an agenda in there. You could put some links in there. You could put anything you need in there. Over here on the right hand side, you've got the option of inviting more people. Now you see I'm already invited because I'm the organizer and I'm down as a producer. I can change that from producer to presenter, and we'll talk a little bit in a few minutes about what the difference between the two of those are. If you want to invite other people, very straightforward to do. I'm going to invite Vanessa. And then I can change her role here. So at the minute, she's a presenter. If I wanted to also be a producer, and it is a good idea, if one of the producers is going to be speaking like I am now, it is often a good idea to have a second producer in there, just to control the screens, make sure nothing goes wrong and all that sort of thing. If you've got enough people, obviously. It's also a good idea to have a couple of presenters as well, even if they're not actually going to present. If they're there to monitor the Q&A, they'll be getting heads up if there's any problems. So, for example, if I was talking about what we can see on my screen, and nobody could see it, somebody would probably put that straight in the Q&A, and that could be flagged up by a presenter. So flying solo isn't normally recommended in this situation. So yeah, get together a little group, even if it's just two of you, to run the event. I'm going to have Vanessa down there as a co-producer. Okay, next. Now these are these are the important settings. These are the ones you're going to change from event to event. First of all, it's who can come to the event. Up at the top, we've got people and groups. If you choose that, then it becomes an invite-only event. If you click schedule without inviting anybody, no one's going to be able to come to your event. So here, let's say I wanted to invite my colleague George. I could add him in there, and then he's on the list. Bear in mind, you can change this at any time. So say you set up and it is for people and groups, but you don't know who's going to come yet. You can keep coming back into this event and adding more people in. Similarly, if you choose one type of permission level and decide you want to change it later, you can do the same thing. You just come into the event and click something different. Second option there is organization-wide. What this would mean is anybody with a Pi Digital Solutions Office 365 account, Office 365 account would be able to come into the event. It says sign in required there. That means it's not anonymous. It means that your attendees will appear on the attendee report with their first name, surname, email address. You'll be able to see when they joined and when they left and all that sort of thing. If you didn't want that, or you wanted to have it outside of your organization, here the option of public is what you would use. So that's what I've used for this one. It's worth bearing in mind that the default setting within all Office 365 tenants is for public live events to be switched off. So if you want to set one up, go and check it first of all, but it may be that you need to get in touch with your IT department just to change the settings. Beneath this, we've got the production of the live event. So first of all, this one here you can't change. This is if the recording is available to the producers and presenters. What this means is after the event, you're going to have something you can download, a recording of it. This allows you to then put it into Stream, YouTube, anywhere you want to. Second option here is a recording available to attendees. This is a really good solution, and this is what I'd recommend that you use. Unless you've got a specific reason you want to put the content somewhere else. So for instance, you have a YouTube channel, you want to keep it on there, or you have an area in Stream where you put these kind of things. Then having a recording available to attendees means that anybody can have the link. I don't think there's a time limit on actually. So anybody can have the link and come back to the event later and it'll all be recorded. There'll be captions automatically generated, as you can see underneath there. and they'll be able to search within the captions for key parts of the video. So this is a pretty cool feature as well. If you've attended a training session, for instance, in a live event, and you want to go back and watch a certain bit again, then you can use text to search for the bit you want to see. You can also decide whether or not you even want an attendee engagement report. It's up to you. The default is that it's on, as you can see. And if you feel, I guess people are curious about this sort of thing. I wouldn't like to run one without knowing how many people were there and all that sort of thing. But if it's of no interest to you, then you don't need to switch it on. Incidentally, this isn't emailed to you or anything like that. You get it after the event, from the event itself. So it's no harm leaving it on. Then we have the option here for Q&A. I always tend to turn this on so that people can ask questions. We don't always get the time to answer questions during our events. This one only being a short one, I think if any questions come up, we possibly won't get to answer them. But it is good because you get your Q&A report afterwards as well. So if you guys are asking questions today in the Q&A window, and I don't get around to answer them during this event, what we'll do is we'll download the Q&A report afterwards and then make sure all of your questions are answered. Incidentally, if you do have any questions, do feel free to chuck them in there. As I say, I promise we will get them answered for you. It might be that for the event that you're running, you don't want this turned on. The default is that it's switched off, so it all depends, case by case situation. Here, it is possible to use an external app or device. You would need to use the Learn More option here to find out what that is all about, but it's possible to run a live event without actually using Teams to run the event. Seems complicated. You can see our organisation is turned off at global level, so we couldn't do that even if we wanted to. But yeah, there's another option for you as well. As I say, there's a Learn More link there, so jump in there and find out what kind of services you can use and how to set it up and so on. After that, and remember, you can change any of these settings all the way up until you hit start on the event. I'm going to click schedule. What happens is it goes into my calendar. It will go as an invite to Vanessa and all the other presenters and producers and so on. But you don't want to send that link to anybody who's going to be attending. What you want is this get attendee link. You click that, it's automatically copied to the clipboard. That's the link you guys clicked on to get here today. You could put that out in email, you could put it on the intranet, you could post it on Yammer, and that's the link people would use to come along. You can also have a chat around the meeting. There's chat inside the meeting, the live event, sorry, I should say. I'll show you that in just a second for the producers and presenters, but you can also have a chat around it as well beforehand. Here is a list of all the live event resources. I'll show you this in a few minutes too. Okay, so now that's all set up, our town hall for May. How does it look when you actually want to run it? Now, unfortunately, the limitation of using Teams to run a live event, it means I can't actually show you the run of a live event live. So what I did yesterday afternoon is I recorded myself in the lobby, as it's called, of a live event. So I'm going to show you that now with live narration. So here we go. This was me yesterday. So first of all, like any Teams meeting, when you come onto the screen and you click join, you'll be asked to join now. It doesn't automatically chuck you straight into a meeting or an event because it gives you the opportunity to turn your camera on or off, as well as your microphone. It's actually recommended by Microsoft to mute your microphone beforehand, so there's no background chatter and all that sort of thing. The other thing I would recommend before running an event is have a quick 5-minute practice event with a friendly colleague or something like that, just so you can check the sound levels, just so you can check that things show up on the screen okay, any videos or presentations that you want to use all show up all right. We did this morning and it turned out there was a lot of background noise coming from my skylights in the room I'm in. So I'm currently boiling, but the skylights are closed and hopefully you're getting good sound quality from it. When you're ready to join with your fellow producers and presenters, you click the Join Now button. And then now we're in the lobby area. So let me just explain this screen. It might be confusing because that's my mouse from the recording. This is actually me here. Up at the top, you have the name of the event, how many attendees are currently there, and the status of the event. You can see we're in the pre-live area. Over here, you've got some icons, which we'll talk about in just a few minutes. Then you've got your queue and the actual live event. The queue area is where you queue up content. What's going to come next, whose desktop is next, which presentation next is up, and all that sort of thing. And underneath that, you've got two different layouts. You can have a whole screen, or you could have 3/4 and a quarter screen. The idea behind that is that you may have a presentation or something in the main part of the screen, and in the smaller part have you on camera, perhaps, or somebody on camera who's talking about it. You can see here that I haven't done that, obviously, but it is an option that you have. I'd expect Microsoft to add more layouts in there in the future as well. Maybe picture in picture, that sort of thing. Down the bottom, I won't move my mouse now. Down the bottom, you have all of the different producers and presenters that are in the lobby who are ready to present. You see, this was just me flying solo, so it's just me at the bottom of the screen. Producers can choose which people are going to present next and what content is going to be shown on the screen. A presenter can only present. So the presenter gets a voice, they can talk, they can run presentations, etc. from their device, but it's actually the producer who's responsible for putting it on the screen. So it might actually be, when you set these up for yourself, you have a producer who does all of that, but doesn't even actually speak. It's just responsible for making sure everything runs smoothly. Over on the right hand side, you've got share and you've got mute all. This is something else the producer can do. The producer can choose who gets to speak. You can see where we've got me at the bottom, my camera's turned off, my microphone's turned off. Well, as a producer, you can turn on people's microphones or turn them off of every single producer and presenter. You can also choose mute all to quieten everyone down. When you click share, it is like anything in Teams. It will show you your windows, various programs you've got open, and ask what you want to share. And then finally, over the right hand side, you've got the live event screen itself. This is what your audience are seeing. When you're ready to start, you hit start. So let's run the video on a little bit, see what's happening. Okay, so you can see when I click share, underneath, it's got the different windows I had open at the time. So a couple of PowerPoint things. On the left hand side, it's got my two screens. There's my two desktops there. Doesn't really matter which way around you do this, actually. You could just choose to share your screen and then open the thing you want to show to people, or you could pick what you want to show to people and then share the screen. Both it's amounts to the same thing, really. A new feature on there is include system audio. So this is only in the last week or so, I believe. This, as you would expect, allows you to play the audio that your computer is currently running. This is particularly good if you have videos, for example. I'm actually talking over this myself live, but I could have narrated this video and had that play as well. Once you've found something, double click on that. This is a presentation from today. Then when I flick back to Teams, you can see that the content has now appeared at the bottom of the screen. By double clicking on that, I've now jumped it into this queue window. And then the next thing I'll be doing is hitting send live, so it goes into the live event area for my audience to see. There you go. Now nobody can actually see anything yet because I haven't started it. But before that, just want to talk about some of the icons up at the top. The first one is show health and performance. This is only if you're experiencing any issues. This will show you your internet speed yeah, I think it's mainly your internet speed. Second one across the top is the meeting notes. So this is where you and your fellow producers and presenters can collaborate and make notes, etc. There is the chat. This is a chat between different presenters and so on. And then you can see who's currently in the meeting. You can see that was just me at the time. And then we're going to start. This is it's not a hugely important thing to note, but as you can see on here, when you start, everybody's on a 10 to 20 second delay. So just bear that in mind. It causes a bit of confusion sometimes. when you're practicing with people, especially because they might be texting you or messaging you back, and every time you respond to it, they hear you 20 seconds or so after they've written it. But yeah, 10 to 20 second delay, just worth bearing in mind. Then the live event starts. And this is when you start talking. This is what everyone can see on the screen. You can see up at the top, we've gone live. So everybody's watching it. I was muted at the time. It's nice that they've got a little thing there. And then when you're finished, you hit end, and then you end the live event. For everybody else, that's what they see on the screen. This live event has ended. And then you can go and get your engagement reports, etc., etc. Speaking of which, here is a sample engagement report. Lots going on this screen. Let me just talk you through it. First of all, you've got session ID over on the left-hand side. That might seem useless. It isn't. I'll talk to you about why that is in just a second. Then you've got the participant ID. If you've gone public, people don't have to sign in. So you might have a lot of blanks on there as well. But if it's organization-wide, as this one was, you can see that it's got everybody's email address in there, and then their full name and what they use to sign in with. This is really interesting to the geeks like me who want to know who's joining on a web browser, who's joining through Teams, who's using a tablet, and all that sort of thing. Over on the right hand side, then you've got the UTC event timestamp. UTC is like an hour different. It's an hour behind, I think, British Summer Time. So you need to amend your times for that during this time of year anyway. And then you can see the action that they took, whether they joined or whether they left, and the role. Everybody on this list is an attendee apart from me. The reason I said over here the session ID is important is because if people are to get something meaningful out of this report, you can't simply go, okay, I want to find everybody when they joined and everybody when they left, and then you get the average time. Because what you find is people do have technical issues. So some people have to join and leave and join a few times. So if you include those people in your overall report, you're going to get people who are online for 30 seconds, and it's really going to draw down your average engagement time. So by matching up the session IDs, even if Griff Delgado here had signed in 4 times, we can put together the session IDs and find out which was the actual one when he was actually attending the event. What I would also suggest as well is doing more than just people joining and people leaving and working out how long they stayed for. That is fine. But you can't just take the average and say, oh, this is the average time people stayed at our event. What you want to do is take that by all means, but also do some counts. For ours, what I always like to do is take the average. That's inevitably, if you do an hour session, that's inevitably going to be around 45 minutes because some people will drop off, not straight away, obviously. Some people drop off early, some people have to go to another meeting at past or whatever it is. So those people are really going to drag down your average. What I like to do more is look at a count of how many people stayed over a certain amount of time. So with this, for instance, this is half an hour. I'm not sure how many people are on the call because I'm not looking at the statistics yet, but I'd be interested to know not what the average amount of time you watched this was, but how many people stayed for the full half an hour, how many people stayed for 27 minutes or more or something like that. What I would also like to look at is the leaving time. Again, you could take the average leaving time, but the average leaving time for this might end up being like 13:20 because a couple of people had to sign off straight away because they couldn't see it or whatever. So again, what I like to do is take a cut-off time, like 13:28 now when we're getting to the end of it, and see who stayed till 13:28, how many people stayed till 13:28. And this is the start of finding out how effective your live events are. If you're getting high ratings for the amount of people staying, the amount of people seeing it a certain amount of time, you know it's going well. Now this is comes out in a CSV format. What that means is you can easily open it in Excel, as you can see, but it also means you could easily import it into something like Power BI. With Power BI, you could then combine it with all of your other metrics, your intranet metrics, your email open metrics and things like that, to get a complete picture of employee engagement across lots of different channels. Now I'm going to have to wrap this up now because we have got to the end of our time. And I know that was quite a whistle-stop tour. But one of the things I really wanted to show you was how easy it is to get these events set up and how bewildering it can be when you first go into the lobby. But once you know what's what and what goes where, how hopefully you can run smooth events and get some analytics out of it afterwards. If you have any questions, if you've got any follow-up questions, then please do email me on simon.cart@pydigitsalsolutions.com, or the main Pydigital Solutions email address is on there. You can get to us on the internet. You can find us on LinkedIn. You can find me on LinkedIn as well, Simon Carter, obviously, and you can find us on Twitter. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you find it useful. I hope you get some live events in the future. Feel free to invite me along. I'd love to see what you're doing. If you do need any assistance getting anything set up, again, just give us a shout. We would love to help. That's it for me today. Thank you very much, and hopefully we'll see you at future events. Bye.